What if you're not burnt out? What if you're just bored? Welcome back to another episode of #Winning Guys. Yuri Elkaim here, and we're coming up on the last couple weeks of our time at Casa Yuri, heading back to our home back in Canada shortly. And I want to share an interesting insight that I've had while I've been here for the past almost 4 months, homeschooling the kids, is that we obviously work with health professionals, and one of the biggest complaints that they come to us with is they want help getting clients to grow their business online. And second is that they're just burnt out from doing one-on-one and the whole grind. And I totally understand that. But there's another way to think about this, which has actually been interesting for me to think about over the past little bit, which is with my kids. And, I take ownership of this because obviously I don't enjoy homeschooling my kids, to be honest. It's not my cup of tea. But the problem is that when they don't have enough direction and leadership, they do nothing. And I'm talking about if you've got kids and they're sitting in front of the television or they're playing Minecraft all day, that's kind of what we've been dealing with. And yeah, we do our family walk in the morning, we get some movement going on, run, something. But other than that, I see firsthand what happens when you lack purpose and direction. Is my kids, they get bored. And when they're bored, they start creating trouble, right? They have too much pent up energy. They start fighting with each other. They start doing all sorts of nonsense, and it's not a good thing. And I thought to myself, well, it's a great illustration of what happens when we lack purpose. And I think the same thing happens in business as adults or in your vocation, is you end up getting really burnt out because you fundamentally fucking hate what you're doing. There's no stimulation, there's no challenge, there's nothing. And as an example, before we came to Mexico, my oldest son, Oscar, he went through a 2-year, year and a half stint of some health challenges. He had a bunch of shit that was going on. And thankfully, we got most of it resolved. But what was interesting, it was the last couple months before we left, he was completely depressed. He's 13 at the time, just lackluster, low energy, the whole bit. And we're like, dude, what's going on? And he's just like, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, I don't know. I just don't want to go to school. So we didn't listen. And then we kept sending him to school. And then eventually he said, I just don't want to go to school anymore. So we said, okay, screw it. We don't really give a shit about the school system. It's a glorified daycare at best, to be honest. It's an absolute joke. So we took him out, and literally the next day he flipped the switch. It was like he was his old self again, brand new person, happy, go lucky. I'm like, wow, so there was nothing going on physically. It was all in your mind, which it always is anyways, right? Everything's a placebo effect. So interesting, right? When you're doing something you absolutely despise, you feel really lethargic. And I actually wrote about this in my New York Times bestselling book back in 2014, the All Day Energy Diet. And I said at the end of the book, you could do everything in this book. You could follow the nutrition protocols and the health advice and still feel absolutely exhausted if you're doing something that doesn't light you up. If you are living a life that you fucking hate, it doesn't matter how many green juices you drink. You will be miserable. You will feel low in energy. You'll feel exhausted, burnt out, lackluster, all of the words you want to throw at that. So my acknowledgement or my message for you today is this. Is don't look for things to be easy, because easy is what retirement sounds like. And we know that when people retire, they literally retire from life. They have no purpose, they have no goal, they have no ambition, and their whole life is about, let me take care of the grandkids, which is, to be honest, a bullshit purpose. That's my personal point of view. Yes, we should obviously take care of our family, but to live for your kids or your grandkids, in my book, it's not enough. It's not enough, because you're putting your whole purpose in something that is it's outside of your control, something that you're not creating. And I don't know, I think a lot of grandparents might use that as take two because they maybe messed up the first time. I don't know. And listen, if you want to look after the grandkids and be with them, amazing. All I'm suggesting is you have to have a bigger purpose, because I see this in my mom, right? She has no purpose. She's retired. All of the health issues started happening when she retired. And she thinks that she's going to cater her life around the grandkids. Well, what happens when we disappear for 4 months to Mexico? Yeah, exactly. Then she's sitting at home twiddling her thumbs, and it is what it is, right? You need to have a purpose in life. So in your business, if you feel overworked, that could be a beautiful thing, right? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't acknowledge that and maybe course correct to say, like, should I be doing everything that I'm doing? Because there's certainly things in your business that light you up, and there are other things that drive you absolutely crazy. And the goal is to build a business that allows you to live the lifestyle you want. That doesn't necessarily mean not working. I'm not here to judge if you want to work or not, but I would venture to say and put a lot of money on the table that you will feel best about yourself, most fulfilled and most happy when you are creating and helping others. That's just something I've noticed in myself and in most humans. So if you remove yourself from that, you're going to feel like shit. That's why I think retirement is one of the biggest lies that we've ever been sold. That's why I think that, Freedom 55, which is now Freedom 155 probably, is just such bullshit. There's nothing wrong with working. There's nothing wrong with pursuing something you love. There's nothing wrong with working Saturdays and Sundays. And please, I'm definitely going to comment some of the video here, but some of you guys are like, yeah, well, what about family life balance? Fuck that shit, okay? I spend more time than I need to with my kids. I'll just put it that way. And that's fine. If you want to be with your kids 10 hours a day, by all means. I love my family. I love spending time with them. But by no means am I punching in, punching out 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And if you want to live that life, that is totally cool. Just understand that you're going to compromise the ability to build something great. And listen, you might have an argument, someone else might have an argument for something else. Well, what if my family is the most important thing? Amazing. What if my health is the most important thing? 100% it is. I'm not saying you have to give up those things. But what I'm saying is that we live in this culture where people are so fucking soft. Like, I can't work too much, otherwise I need a holiday to recover my mental well-being. It's bullshit. Become more resilient. Do work you love. Solve hard problems. Why do you think Sudoku is so good? It challenges our brain. It's been shown to improve neuroplasticity in older people. Why is that? Because it hurts your fucking nerves. It hurts your brain cells because they have to learn and adapt and grow to stimulus. And if you're not stimulated in your life, you will turn to mush. Why do you think working out heavy weights is a good idea? Because it challenges your body to grow. Is it comfortable? No. It hurts. It's hard. And yes, you can certainly go to the side of the spectrum, which is like overkill and, destroy your body. But there's also this happy middle ground where you're kind of in that zone where you have enough stress, you have stress on your body, a good stress, whether it's through weights, through exercise, through the work you're doing. You have to, I think all of us understand this. We're all health professionals. We understand the importance of eustress and the difference between that and distress. I think what's happening in so many conversations in today's world is it's no stress. Stress is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And yes, a lot of our message is helping you build a business you love with heart, helping you build your dream without the grind. And when I say the grind is subjective. I work more now than I did when I was an overworked, underpaid personal trainer, but it doesn't feel like a grind because I'm doing work that I love and there's a bigger purpose and a bigger vision behind it as opposed to just trading dollars for hours for years on end. So I am much happier putting in the work now to build this beautiful vision that we're building, even though I work more than I used to work when I was working one-on-one. So I understand that this video, this message is not for everyone. There are many of you who are going to watch this and you're like, I don't want to be part of that. That's great. You can choose whatever, choose your own adventure. You get to choose whatever adventure you want in your life. I'm just sharing from my perspective. When I look at people and I look at the worst possible emotion for a growth-oriented person to experience, it's not burnout, it's boredom. Boredom is what leads to overeating. Well, I mean, not the only thing. Overeating, overdrinking. We're numbing our pain with all sorts of vices because we're bored out of our freaking mind. But as soon as you put yourself into some type of challenge, into some type of positive stress, it's like this whole new world has appeared. You jump out of bed first thing in the morning, you're gung-ho, you're ready to go. It's the same thing as if I go to work out in the gym. Something as simple as writing down what I'm going to do in my workout on a notepad before I walk into the gym gives me a better workout. Because now what I've done is I've created a plan and I'm not just winging it. I'm not just going through the motions. And when I do that, my workouts are shit. I'm probably assuming yours are not too dissimilar. But if you walk into the gym with a plan and you know roughly what exercises you're doing, how many sets and reps, you would now have focus. And the human brain loves having a mission, at least the masculine side of it does, right? So that's why a lot of men are very mission driven. We want a purpose, we want a goal, and we want to go after something. So I'm just sharing this from my perspective that if you had to choose like gun to my head, burnout or boredom, I'd probably take burnout. Because burnout, at least I'm building something meaningful. Boredom, I'm doing nothing. And I would rather have a little bit too much stress than not enough. And as the saying goes, pressure creates diamonds, but at the same time, it also cracks a lot of people. And that's why there's only so many world-class athletes, right? When you look at the, I think it's the US Open, the tunnel that goes into the main court, it might be that or the Australian Open, it says on the side, pressure is a privilege, right? Here are the top tennis players in the world. They're walking onto the center court, 10, 15, 20,000 people. That's a lot of pressure for most people. And it can be perceived as this very big weight on your shoulders. Or you can reframe it to be like, wow, I spent my entire life training and competing to be on center court in this very stadium. What a privilege. How lucky am I to be here? Yes, it might feel daunting and overwhelming at times, but this is what I trained for. This is what I did. This is what I sacrificed my whole life for. I don't want things to be easier. I want to be better. And we can only get better by being challenged, by taking on bigger problems. And the cool thing is that when you're willing to take on bigger problems, you feel more stimulated and you're also going to get compensated accordingly. A lot of people are not making the money they want in this world because they're solving tiny problems. So if you want to make more money, solve bigger problems. And when you do so, you're ultimately going to help more people, or you're going to help people at a greater magnitude. And ultimately, that's going to be good for you and it's good for them. So I'm going to wrap this up by saying, I don't think burnout is as big of a deal as we think it is. I think the whole mental health thing is just way overplayed, to be honest. And I'm not downplaying the fact that we have to take care of ourselves. I understand that. But listen, people have been dealing with all the stuff we've been dealing with since the beginning of time. Yes, it's worse now over the past 20 years with technology and social media. I get that. But it's on us. It's on us to figure this out, to do what we have to do to become more resilient, to become more of who we already are, not less than. We can't just cower and say like, I need a week for me. Like, I need to like just sit at a spa for a week. It's making us soft. It's not helping us. There is a time to relax and there is a time to be challenged. I'm saying do things in your life that challenge you because you will be rewarded financially and spiritually. Those are my thoughts. You might completely disagree and that's totally okay as well. But there we go. One of my biggest pet peeves is complaining. In myself, when I complain, and also hearing other people complain. Today, I want to share with you what I've discovered to be a fairly simple resolution to complaining. I think it'll help you, and obviously if you have anyone else in your life who tends to complain a lot and it annoys you, this can be very useful.